Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly, David D. Simons. I'm excited and delighted to have today's guest on. He is in the city where I was born and raised, Bakersfield, California. Joel Sandoval, CPA, is the owner and founder of Sandoval Tax CPAs, based in Bakersfield, California. Although the office is located in Southern California, Sandoval Tax CPAs is a virtual tax and accounting firm that serves all 50 states of America. Joel has a passion for helping business owners save tens of thousands of dollars in taxes through proactive tax planning. That's key, proactive tax planning, not reactive tax planning. Unfortunately, most business owners are not meeting with their tax professionals on a regular basis, which is costing them tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. This is money that can be reinvested back into their businesses, be used to go on a much needed family vacation. Don't we all need that? To be able to donate to your favorite charity, or even help your family members. So Joel is on a mission to be known by every business owner in America. I hope this show can help us get to a little bit more of that goal. Joel is also a licensed CPA by the state of California since 2012. With over a decade of experience, he's been saving business owners tens of thousands of dollars through proactive tax planning, and has become Joel's life's vision. So his vision is to become the CPA firm of choice in America, and he's invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into education to be able to provide the most value to his clients. Sandoval Tax CPA starts every new relationship with a personalized tax plan because they want to make sure that if they prepare your tax return, that they are saving you the most amount of money possible. So Joel, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, David.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got a chance to meet at ClickFunnels, just randomly ended up sitting next to each other in a room full of 5,000 people. And it was crazy to see, and that you reside in Bakersfield, California.
Yeah, man. It's a small world. It's crazy how we're in a big room with 5,000 entrepreneurs, and little did we know that I'm from where you grew up, which is crazy.
Wow, bananas.
Yeah.
So Joel, tell people a little bit about your journey, man. Like, obviously, it takes a while. And another thing he didn't highlight, so humble. He is a 2 Comma Club award winner, so that means he's done $1 million in business plus through and it's come through his funnels and sales for his business. So he is doing it, guys. So talk to me about the journey, just overall becoming who you are today.
Yeah, man. So actually, we take it back to high school, David. I always tell my story of like, you graduate high school, right? You got to start on this, become an adult and start working, right? And I had really didn't know what to do. Both of my parents had a background actually in real estate. So my mom or still is an escrow officer. My dad's a property manager. So, with obviously your parents have a lot of influence in who you become. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to follow in their footsteps and try to become someone in real estate. But I actually graduated in 2005. So obviously a couple of years later, we had a big recession, big housing crash, people losing their homes in foreclosure. So timing was just terrible, right? And it kind of, we might see even signs of that, this year with the way the economy is going. But, nonetheless, it was kind of I was still early in my career. So I still had, basically time to pivot. So I basically came across another CPA who was actually working for the real estate company I was working for. And I saw everybody was panicking because just the economy was terrible, but she felt, just had this peace, inside of her where she felt stable and secure. And I asked her like, hey, what is it that you do? And she's like, oh, I'm a CPA. And I was like, why do you like that career? She's like, well, I feel I have a stable and secure job, regardless of what's happening in the economy. Like every business owner always needs an accountant. And obviously, with me being impacted with the economy, I was like, I got to find something similar to that because I was fresh out of, high school. I was like, man, this is probably not good. So I decided, actually, I lived in Waltonville, California. It's where I was born and raised, and lived there basically all until high school. And then I moved to Bakersfield after high school to pursue my degree in accounting. And that's actually where I met my now wife. So, and she's
Wow.
born and raised in Bakersfield. And so she said, if we're getting married, this is where we're going to live. So,
Hey, I love
so,
it.
so Bakersfield became my hometown. And I got my degree. I actually was pretty good, did pretty good in school, graduated with honors. Never had thoughts of becoming an entrepreneur. I was just trying to get a good paying job. And that's what I did. I got my degree in, my bachelor's degree in business, with the concentration in accounting. Got, multiple offers because I had good grades from various CPA firms, and I just started my career, trying to become a CPA. Got my license, as you mentioned, in 2012. But as I was kind of growing in my career, just with social media, all the stuff that comes on, I heard about Ty Lopez, about Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it just kind of opened my mind to this whole new world of entrepreneurship. And it just sounded like, man, I'm going to have a cap as what I can make as a CPA unless I really become an entrepreneur. Little did I know how much stress I was going to bring. At the time, I was just like, unlimited income, unlimited potential. I was like, man, this is the way to go. But nonetheless, like I stuck with my normal job for like 5 years. And at the time, before I made the jump from, employee to business owner, I had already been working for the man for about 5 years. I was making six figures, and I basically went from six figures to zero figures like overnight because I had no clients. And I remember putting a sign out front. I got an office like the next day, put a sign out front, tax preparation. It was during tax season. I thought I was going to, blow up with business. And 2 hours later, I get my first phone call, and it was actually my wife. And she's like, and she asked me, how many clients do you have so far? And I was like, as of now, you're my first phone call. And she's like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Maybe you should go back, get your six-figure job. And I was like, well, it's too late. I already quit my job. I'm not going back. And to make things even more intense, though, David, like a couple weeks later, we found out that my wife was expecting our
Wow.
firstborn daughter. And she was actually supporting the family at the time because, like I mentioned, I went to zero figures, literally no money. And so she was a fourth grade teacher bringing in the income, but she's like, hey, I told you from day one that when I become a mom, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. You're the man of the house. You got to support the family. So I literally had a 9-month deadline to bring enough money into the table to survive. So I literally, you could just imagine a CPA door knocking. Hey, do you want to sit? Everything that a CPA should not be doing. That's what I was doing. But it put me out of my comfort zone. It pushed me, to do things I probably would have never done. Fast forward to today, I've obviously learned a lot since then. We're currently a 7-figure accounting firm, as I mentioned, 2 Comma Club Award winner. And so, entrepreneurship is a journey. Even at 7 figures, it's still stressful, but I wouldn't want any differently. So,
Wow.
super proud to be here and just, talk about my gift and my journey.
I love it, man. I love it. So I gotta take a step back, right? Because that takes some major guts to just go from like you didn't like say, hey, all right, I'm gonna transition over time. You cut cold turkey. Can you explain and expound on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So, I had already kind of, had the thoughts of entrepreneurship, right? Because I had been reading about, I had read like the entrepreneurial books. So for the last like few years, it had been on my mind, but I never had the courage, right? Like you said, it takes guts. I never really had it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I heard that you got to have like at least 1 year or 2 years worth of reserves, because you don't really make money the first 2 years in business. But in order to, when you have a family, you're about to start a family. I mean, to build 2 months or 2 years worth of reserves, like good luck, especially when you're an employee. Like it's so difficult. So actually, what pushed me over the edge was I remember on a Friday night, I had to run a quick errand. It was already like after 6 o'clock, and it was only going to take me about 40 minutes. But my boss at the time said, he actually didn't tell him that I was going to run this errand because I was like, it's after hours. But there was an assignment that he wanted done that day, and I understood that. But he didn't like that I basically postponed that assignment for 45 minutes because I was like prioritizing my errand over, the assignment he had given me. And he was like, hey, never effing let your priorities come over mine. Like business comes first. And I
What?
understood where he was coming from now as a business owner, but I just, the way he came across obviously was not the right way.
Right.
And I remember I still have that text message saved on my phone because he texted to me. And that's kind of my driver now.
Mm.
And so that's really, and when I showed that text message to my wife, she's like, you know what? You have my blessing. Just try your business. You've been thinking about it. So I put in my 2 weeks, and this was like over the weekend on Monday. There's no 2 weeks notice. I'm laid off. And so that's when I started my firm.
Wow, that's amazing. He messed with the wrong one. so so
Yeah.
um that's also beautiful. I respect that, you have obviously a supportive wife, right?
Yeah.
Because she gave you, like you said, that blessing. If you could expand on that, I mean, because I just want to, I'm just thinking about listeners out here. Some people don't have that support, right? They don't
Right.
have somebody who will say, "Hey, take the risk. I believe in you." So talk to us about, the importance of and how your wife's support meant to what it meant to you or what it means to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens at home is probably more important, really, than what happens at work because
Mm.
what happens at home has a huge impact on your attitude, your emotions, on how you're going to perform at work. And so, life is all about sales and persuasion. Even if you're not in sales, like you have to persuade people to take action. So, I had to convince my wife that this was the right move. And
Hmm.
I had been thinking about this for years. And so I was like, I want to do this. And so, I just, over time, I put little seeds in her head about how this was a good idea. And, I think when she just saw that message and I was like, am I really going to have to go through this like for the rest of my life, having to deal with, um, an employer and I never had like an employer that I was bought into their mission. And so I feel like it was my calling, without even knowing to be on this venture of entrepreneurship and really make an impact. And now, my whole goal, like you said, is just to be known by every business owner in America, at least give them the opportunity to be educated and how they can save thousands of dollars in taxes. We're not always the best fit for everyone, but I think that right now my goal is again just to be totally transparent and just try to provide value to business owners and obviously grow, right?
Yeah,
Life is all about growth. So we want to continue to eventually become an 8-figure accounting firm
there we go.
and, help, entrepreneurs keep more money in their pocket while we're doing that.
I love it. I love it, Joel. So Joel, when you think about you yourself, what is your most dominant gift?
You know what? That's that's a great question. I think that my gift is the ability to adapt. Because, like for example, not that long ago we were in COVID, right? And before we were actually like basically a local accounting firm based out of Bakersfield. We only serve local clients, and COVID actually had us become a virtual firm. And so now, like, we take on clients all over 50 states, like you mentioned. We have them all across. Obviously, majority are in California, but we have some in Texas, Florida, New York. And so um, the ability to adapt, I think, is so important because if you think about, like, for example, older, like companies that were huge, like Blockbuster, huge, huge company,
Right.
bankrupt, right? Because they weren't able to pivot like Netflix, right? Netflix became the new thing for streaming movies. And so I think it's very important for business owners to adapt. And I think that's where that's probably one of my strengths. I just try to see what's trending, what's kind of the new thing, is what's working, what's not working. I think that's probably one of my strengths. Like
Mm,
I feel I have the ability to adapt as a leader and as an owner of our firm.
mm. Can you talk? Can you talk to us about like when you were a kid, like or in your youth, like where you utilize this adaptation, where you maybe you noticed it, started to notice it, because it's always easy to see it, from here looking back, but it's not. It probably wasn't easy to see that as a child. Like, can you think of any examples of that gift of adaptation of being able to adapt to things?
Yeah, I think it's just the kind of I think just seeing other people, right, that have achieved great things in life. If you and like for me, I've always looked up to people that are more successful. I've always looked up to people that are doing bigger and better things in life, whether it's business, relationships, and I just try to learn from them. Like I just try to soak it all in, and like what is it? I've always been passionate for learning, and I just I think that the fact that you can learn from everybody, right?
Hmm.
There's always something to learn, and I think that if you are humble enough to not have an ego and just really just try to learn from the person in front of you, that's going to basically allow you to have those skills like adaptability, for example. And
Right.
but I think it comes down to just being humble, being observant, and just being open minded.
Respect, man. Respect. So, talk to us about the development, right? This is not a subtle thing to look over because, as you mentioned, um, you studied people like Ty Lopez, obviously Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, all these different leaders, and like you said, it's not just business; it's relationships and things of that nature. And you talked about, and in your bio, right? You've invested well over hundreds of thousands of dollars into your own personal development, and we believe that the process of purpose is discovering your gift, right? Developing your gift and then distributing your gift. So that development piece is really important. And when you think about, you know, the development you've put into becoming skilled in your craft, one, I mean, for those listening, I know several people who have gone for the CPA license and the testing, and it's very rigorous, and not everybody makes it. That alone it weeds a lot of people out. So I just want listeners to understand that don't see the words, don't see those acronyms CPA and think, oh, it's just CPA. No, 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 no. They went through a rigorous amount of studies, a rigorous amount of tests. I have friends, family. I know that process is not easy, but can you talk to people about the development that goes on behind the scenes to become the person you've become to today? You had to go through a lot of development, personally, business wise, and spiritually. I imagine all the different areas.
Yeah, 100%. I think that just like we talked about learning, right, and being able to learn from mentors and stuff like that. I think also what's important is the ability to sacrifice other things in your life in order to pursue your goals. Like for example, like you mentioned, to get a CPA license, it's a 16-hour exam. It's broken up into four parts, obviously, because you won't be able to sit through 16 hours. But the majority of people fail the exam. I've heard that it's actually more difficult than the bar exam for attorneys. So it's one of the most challenging. And actually, I have employees, team members that work for me that are still having a difficult time studying for the exam and passing it. And the main reason, it's not that they're not smart enough. It's just that they don't have the discipline to sacrifice their weekends, sacrifice their evenings, sacrifice whatever pleasure they get from outside of work in order to get their license. So it's the same thing in entrepreneurship or to develop your gift. You're going to have to sacrifice certain things, whether it's spending time with family, spending playing video games, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever you enjoy out of life, that's going to have to be put on pause for a moment until you achieve your goal. Like if you're really driven, if you really want to get that gift and have it developed, you're going to have to put other things aside And then obviously once you get to your goal and you can see, okay, now that I've been there, do I want to spend more time? Now you can go back and say, okay, I want to spend a little bit of time on these leisures, but at the same time, it's like, well, why not continue developing your gift and even further? So I think life is all about a balance. But at the end of the day, if you really want to achieve big things in life, you're going to have to sacrifice.
Man, well said, brother. Well said, brother. Um, so so can you also talk to about like your development even as an entrepreneur, right? There's a lot of, you know, I would say over the last 5 years, entrepreneurship has been glamorized, like, oh, it's the way, get the car, get the, freedom and all that stuff. But what do you have to do behind the scenes, even to this day, right? As an entrepreneur to keep developing yourself and I want you to talk about some of the things that are unseen, right? Like everybody sees the stuff in the front, oh, going to conferences or speaking or podcast, and but nobody sees the late nights. Nobody sees the sacrifice. Nobody sees the payroll you got to make each week or every other week. And you're like, how is this going to work? Nobody sees some of these behind. Can you talk to us about the unseen hours?
Yeah, I mean that's like you said, you kind of nailed it with entrepreneurship is shown as this like glorious thing, and it can and it will be if you dedicate yourself to your craft and your gift. It definitely will be, but it's not going to be easy to get there. You're probably, when you get to your goals, you're probably going to be wounded, you're going to be bruised, you're going to be even discouraged. You've probably gone through trials and errors. Like, I mean, even as a seven figure accounting firm owner, like I still have to deal with crap that I'm not going to post on social media because it's not glorious, right? But it's things that we have to deal with, like gruntled employees, gruntled customers, and like getting feedback from them. How can I improve my service delivery? How can I become a better leader? How can I improve the culture in my business so that way we can push forward? And because there's things like you said, there's we got to meet payroll. We have to make sure that we pay not only our expenses, but we got to have some left over for us to be able to live. And then we want to achieve this entrepreneurial dream that we have of usually financial freedom. It's not easy, and it's not for the cold hearted. Like you're gonna have to really have thick skin, because there's gonna be times where you probably want to quit, and you're just like, why am I even doing this? This is not even worth it. And it comes back to mindset. And I think that's why we go to those kind of business events like the ClickFunnels Live, because it just kind of re-energizes us. It gives us that drive again, that if in order for us to keep moving forward, because it's not going to be easy, and every single day is a battle. So you just have to go in it with the right mentality, have the people around you supporting you, have the right influencers that are going to actually propel you forward. And that's what life is and entrepreneurship is all about.
Love it, man. Love how you broke that down. So, so talk to me about this, Joel, because um, one can develop in their gifts, they can become great, but that's not it. It's not enough, right? Like you've got to have distribution, you got to have marketing, right? So you obviously know that there are other tax firms, CPA firms that can do maybe some of the things you guys do or in a different way, but you've obviously had to place a priority on marketing and
Mm-hmm.
developing that distribution and understanding of, okay, hey, we need to get ourselves out there. So if you could just speak to that, just how you guys have marketed Sandoval Tax CPAs and how important it is to you.
Yeah, I mean, marketing is probably the most important thing in business, because what marketing allows you to do is convey your message to your potential customers. And there's so many different platforms on how you can do that. In the beginning, when I was first starting out, it was just word of mouth. I didn't really know how to market myself. It was like door knocking, as I mentioned, cold calling. Um, but now, now that I've invested into coaching, mentorship, I kind of have the model of, direct response, where, we try, and we've learned that obviously from Russell Brunson, Dan Kennedy as well, where we basically try to have um, individuals raise their hands and say, hey, I'm interested in hearing more about what you have to offer. And so we do that obviously through social media channels, posting content. Also, we have Facebook ads, we run webinars, we boost posts. I mean, we do as much as we can. I think the more the better. I think Grant Cardone says our goal should be to be omnipresent, really be on every single channel. And we're not anywhere close to that yet. I mean, there's more channels being, obviously there's TikTok now. There's just like
Yeah.
so many more things that the new thing's probably not going to be new by the time you start doing it. It's
Hmm.
probably going to be obsolete. So it's just, I really think it's impossible. The ones that are doing it the best will probably have the biggest marketing teams out there, helping them, because one person alone cannot do it. It's just, there's just not enough hours in the day. And so,
Right.
but I think that if you don't market yourself, I mean, your business will eventually die. Even the biggest brands in the world, like Coca-Cola, they already have a reputation, but they're still marketing, they're still advertising, because it's the lifeblood of our business. And so we need to continue to market ourselves. And then really just knowing how, like you said, there's other firms that offer similar services as us. So what makes us different, and really just knowing kind of what you can bring to the table as a unique selling. What is your unique selling proposition as a CPA? For us, for example, our approach is we want to start every new relationship with a personalized individual tax plan. There's other accountants that do offer tax planning, but it's kind of generic and it's not personalized for you and your business. So we offer that. Also, a lot of our clients are Hispanic, so we offer a lot of our services to Hispanic, Latino community. I mean, we try to know, like, there's a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy that talks about, if in a ocean full of red sharks, everything's red, and it's a lot of competition. How are you going to be blue? How are you going to be different? How are you going to separate yourself? And I think that's what marketing is trying to differentiate yourself, and being true to yourself while you're doing it.
Wow. Love that, man. Love that. So, talk to me about a young Joel, right? Like somebody that's maybe I know you didn't know you were going to be into accounting until you saw that other lady in her space. But talk to a young Joel that is good with numbers. Not saying that you have to be good with numbers to be an accountant, because you can learn. It's a skill you can learn. Um, but there's a young Joel listening that says, "Hey, I love math, or I love numbers. I love business, but I also want to be an entrepreneur. But I would love to be an accountant." What are the things you would tell a young Joel type to to learn or get prepared for to become what you are today?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because, like you said, if I go back in time and go back to young Joel, I had no idea I was going to be a CPA. But the traits, what the things that I was learning as a kid, and the skills that I was developing as a kid led me to where I am today. I remember my dad, for example, like, have a clear example of us going to a gas station, and he would, pump gas in his car. And I think it came out to, I don't remember the dollar amount, but I think it was like $34.63. And he handed me $40 in cash, and he's like, hey, go to the gas station and pay our balance. But before you do, I want you to tell me, Joel, what is the change that you're going to receive? So I had to do the math in my head. Okay, $40 minus the $36.73, whatever number I mentioned. Um, and I had to figure that out. So my dad was always like giving me these math tests as a kid, and so I was developing those skills, um, without even knowing. And so obviously when I became an adult, I was like, "What's your strength, Joel?" And I was like, "Oh, well, my strength are numbers. My strength is analytics. I'm a very analytical person. Use my brain to solve puzzles, things like that." And so it all comes down to what my parents taught me as a kid, and what I enjoyed too, because I remember him trying to also teach me how to change the oil on his car, and I remember doing it, but I was like it was the worst day ever. Didn't want to get underneath the car to change the oil, and it's like, oh, I'd be all pissed off at my dad for having me do it. But when he would ask me to, hey, tell me what the change is going to be, and if you get it correct, actually, I'll give you the change. I was like, oh, nice, as a young kid. So I enjoyed that. So I think you start to learn what skills you enjoy, and then once you find those skills, what are the careers available, or the businesses around your skills that you can pursue.
I love that. That's what's up, man. So Joel, talk to me about this goal, right? We talked about marketing and the importance of it to be known by every single business owner in America. I love it. I love audacious goals. I love you. Obviously, have a mindset of a go getter. So, talk to me about that goal. Why that goal, and what is your plan to get there?
Yeah, so I think the reason is like, in the very beginning, my goal was just to survive, right? I had gone from six figures to zero figures, so like my wife gave me a 9 month deadline to make this business work. So I was just trying to put food on the table. I didn't have the goal that I have today of trying to be known by every business owner in America. So your goals change as you become, as you develop as a person and as a leader, as an entrepreneur. And so now where we're at, where, we've also invested some money, where, I could probably retire today if I wanted to just live off my investments. But I want to continue to grow because I want to make an impact.
Mm,
And so I was like, if I really want to make an impact, and I really want to continue to grow in this, entrepreneurial journey that we call life,
yeah.
what's the reason that I'm doing this? Why is if it's not the money anymore? So then what's driving me? And that's when I just kind of just spent some time thinking, and I was like, well, I really want to make a difference in people's lives, and I want to be able to help them, and I can do that with my skills, which are accounting and taxes. I can help business owners reduce their tax liability by, on average, to $50,000 a year, and I can help them with their accounting if they don't know how much money their business is making, or if they need help analyzing their cash flow because they don't have budgets or forecasts in place. Then that's where I can make an impact in a business owner's life. And I've surrounded myself with team members that have those same skills, and now they do basically most of the work. So my role as a leader now is just to convey that message, to be known by every business owner in America that they have that opportunity to solve those problems if it is a problem that they have.
Wow, that's great. And you have some amazing content, by the way. I love the content you have. So could you help some of these business owners today, if you don't mind, if you could share like one or two like tax planning hacks, or not, I guess you shouldn't put hack with tax, but you know what I mean, like a strategy that some ideas, maybe just things people aren't, little small things that they could do to help save some money on some tax.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many things. Like, I'll definitely give kind of the biggest ones, but I always say, like, the IRS tax code has over 46,000 pages. Yet the Bible only, on average, every Bible translation is different, but on average only has 1,200 pages.
Wow.
So the amount of opportunity in the tax code is endless, right? There's so many things that we can do, and that's why we offer a personalized tax plan, because one entrepreneur might be a content creator, a different entrepreneur might be a real estate investor, another one might be a plumber. It just depends. And so I think that the best, if you really want to save money on taxes, you really have to invest into a CPA that is it's gonna save you 3 to 5 times more than whatever his fee is.
Mhm.
And so, and a lot of people are like, oh, they're hesitant to invest into a CPA because it's just that they see it as an expense for their business, and it's like it's not an expense, it's an investment, because we're going to be able to generate enough savings to pay for your investment.
Mm.
So And there's so many things that we can do, like entity selection, retirement, insurance, tax credits, deductions, the new changes with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Like, I could probably spend a whole day talking about, what a business owner can do to save money. But at the end of the day, it's, you're probably better off spending your time on marketing and sales and hiring a CPA that's going to save you, tens of thousands of dollars where you don't even have to worry about tax law.
Mm. Can you give us one wild, or not? It doesn't have to be wild, but one story of I obviously don't have to mention who, but like a story of a client where they came in one way and they were maybe paying so much in taxes, and then the opposite end of what happened for them, and maybe the government. I don't know. You tell me
Yeah,
what
we this
yeah.
is I mean this I love that because that's pretty much what we do. Like, we start every new relationship with a personalized tax plan. So, and to give you an example, as you mentioned, we had a business owner that we met with last year, and she was set up as an LLC, and she was making a killing. I think she had gross like 1.5 million, but the best part was like her margins were like 80%. Like, I mean,
Whoa.
she pretty much was like a lean machine. She was like gross, like netting over $1 million, and um, she was on track to based on her structure, how she was set up, to basically overpaying taxes by $300,000.
Hmm.
Um, and so we were able to basically restructure her business. In her case, it was an LLC. We restructured it into an LLC taxed as a C corp. Based on her situation, that's not the best. Obviously, it depends on your particular situation, but for her, that was the best. Making that switch alone reduced her tax liability by $300,000.
What?
And so, I mean, it just that's just one example of what we do. Now, obviously, this she was making a lot of money, so if someone's making less than that, we're not going to be able to save you nearly as much. On average, we save clients between $20,000 and $50,000 a year. So, I mean, over the course of the years, it's still going to amount to 300,000. But in her situation, this was, an example where we were able to save a huge amount of money in just 1 year.
Wow. That's awesome. What would you say is some of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make with the whole tax piece that they're not even thinking about, or um, and they don't realize, and where usually it's good to have. I mean, where they see the need, like, okay, man, I should have a CPA to do this, or what is usually something that most people do.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake that business owners make is just that, I don't blame them, but I do blame them because they just tend to procrastinate. And so, like you said, they're reactive as opposed to being proactive. And so, I can't tell you how many times like business owners will come to me or my team saying, and it's March, like, hey, Joel, can you do my taxes? And I was like, yeah, I can do your taxes, but there's nothing I can do for last year. I can't go back in time and create an entity for you. Like, we should have met in October to come up with strategies. Like, maybe you should have purchased, a G wagon. If you have the cash flow for it. Maybe you should have purchased a real estate property or two properties and use, depreciation. But I can't go back and have you. I can have you buy a property for this year. But there's no time machine to go back and give you those recommendations.
Mm.
So your biggest mistake as a business owner is that you're putting it off, you're being reactive as opposed to being proactive and having me give you those strategies if we meet on a proactive quarterly basis.
Wow, that's heavy, man. Well, I love it. So tell us, speaking of tax strategies, tell us about your firm and how people can get plugged in, and some of the things that you offer. Obviously, you offer custom plans for business owners. So can you break down some of the things you guys do and how people can benefit from your services?
Yeah, 100%. So, and on top of those personalized tax plans and meeting quarterly with business owners, really what we try to do for business owners is there's two things. We don't want them to have a surprise when they file their tax return, because most of the time it's surprise, here's your bill from the IRS. So how can we have them not have any surprises? Well, the only way we can do that is by proactively planning. So that by far is the number one thing that we do. But the second thing that we do is help business owners with their accounting. So you, as a business owner, need to keep track of your income, you need to keep track of your expenses. And unfortunately, for a lot of business owners, it's kind of one of the things they just put on the back burner. They don't really worry about it or think about it because their whole goal is just marketing and sales, which is great. But how good is marketing and sales if you're not analyzing your numbers? How good is marketing and sales if you're not taking the time to evaluate whether you're even making a profit? How good is marketing and sales if you're not taking the time to reduce your tax liability? So we help business owners keep track of their accounting by providing them with financial statements so they can know exactly how much money they're making, to eventually help them pay less money in tax, help them keep more money in their pocket, and eventually to help them win.
I love that, man. I love that. So Joe, we always ask a question to every listener on the show, and you had no preparation for this. The question is, what's the difference between one's gift and one's purpose? One's gift and one's purpose.
Man, that's a great question. I think a gift is something that is divine, like something that God gives you and is a natural, like born trait. Like for me, it was not only obviously numbers and math, but also being a leader and the ability to adapt, and which is why I became an entrepreneur and a CPA firm owner. So that is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
But a purpose is, how are you, now that you have that gift, how are you going to put it to use? So how are you going to make an impact in this world while we're alive? And now using your gift becomes a purpose. So like for me, I'm using my gift of accounting and tax skills to make an impact in people's lives, and that becomes my purpose and my mission.
Mm. I love that, brother. I love that. So let's wrap up with one thing because I know your goal now of reaching every business owner in America. Imagine you're speaking to every business owner in America. You only have 1 minute to give them something to say. What are you going to say?
I would say, hey, business owner, if you want to save $20,000 to $50,000 in taxes year after year, because I can guarantee you've been overpaying for the last 5 to 7 years. If you want to stop the bleeding and start making some real money by reducing your tax liability, knowing your numbers, having financial statements, then you need to have a 15-minute phone call with me or my team by visiting help.sandovaltax.com. In 15 minutes, we'll save you $50,000 or more in taxes year after year for the rest of your life, guaranteed.
Wow, man, you're ready, man. You already have it. You got it dialed in. I love it. So as he said, go to help.sandovaltax.com. That's SANDOVAL tax.com. Help dot. Don't forget the dot. And then get that, take advantage of that. You obviously see Joel is a man of wisdom. He's got so much to share. I can only imagine the business owners who will get a chance to take. I wish I met you before I got a loyalty to my CPA now, but I'm like, man, that'd have been cool. Because a quick short story to end it off here. I think it was about the pandemic, right? Like I didn't know that I was making too much money for an LLC because my tax bill, similar to the lady. I'm not on those levels yet, but that the LLC, the way it was structured, wasn't conducive, and my employee tax, the self-employment tax bill alone was crazy. So I had an accountant, but I hired a tax planning firm to show me, and show me these things. And he was like, yeah, I don't S corp. Like, oh, what? I didn't know you could, like, he didn't know I could be turned into an S corp. Like, I was just like, oh my God. So
Oh, wow.
I got rid of that accountant, shifted to another one. So I wholeheartedly know the benefit of having a solid CPA and tax planning. So it's essential. So get with
100%.
get with Joel.
Man, I appreciate that testimonial because I think business owners lack that perspective, and so it's just you need to have a consultation with an expert if you really want to find out.
Truth. Truth.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being on, brother. Truly appreciate you. And thank you for blessing the people.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you, David.